Hello, this is Julia from Just One More Card, and today I have a really fun project for you, creating a clean and simple card set with gold embossing. This was truly a joy to make. I started out by stamping my sentiments with the Label Love stamp set by Altenew. Love this stamp set! But it turned out afterwards that the archival ink that I used to stamp on the Basil Marshmallow cardstock, it kind of seeped into the paper, and you can see that the sentiment, the thank you, isn't as clear as it should have been, and so I ended up doing it again with VersaFine ink. The VersaFine ink is not quite as black or not quite as smooth as the archival ink, but at least you can read the sentiment, and I think that's kind of important with this card, so that's why I stamped it again. And now I'm cutting out the well-stamped thank yous. Not all of them were good, so I'm just cutting out a few of them, and I'm leaving a very thin white border around them because I just think that makes them look better. You don't have to, you can cut them out just along the black, so it doesn't really matter. Here are the card bases that I'm going to use moving forward. They are 4 by 4 inches from Basil Marshmallow cardstock, and also from the same cardstock is this 3.5 by 3.5 inch panel on which I'm going to stamp next. And the star of the show is a new stamp set by Altenew as well, just using Altenew products today. It's called Persian Motifs. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just love the very, like the thin lines, and there are so many possibilities. You can do so much. You can color, you can emboss, you can distress, and literally you can do so much. I'm totally excited about the stamp set. I'm going to use this stamp and this one. The reason for that is they have a slight curve, and to me that means I can stamp them like coming from the corner. When you are embossing, do yourself a favor and use some kind of like powder bag, something. I don't care what it is, just use something, because the embossing powder, if you use a bag like this, it will not stick to the rest of your card. It will make your life so much easier, and it will make embossing much more enjoyable. I'm going to be using the Versamark ink, and since you can't see that ink, I always take my time inking up my stamps, because if I don't want to waste like the cardstock or whatever, so I'd rather spend a little bit more time inking up the stamp than being hasty and then not doing it well. So I'm preparing to stamp down the first flower. And I want it to, I don't want it to go too far into the middle, because I want the sentiment to be there, and I don't want the sentiment to cover up too much of the flower. So I'm trying to find a good middle ground where I see a lot of the Persian motif, but still leave enough space in the middle so this card is truly a clean and simple card, and that to me defines a lot of white space. Doesn't necessarily need to be a white card, but white space usually refers to empty space. Give the elements on your card room to breathe. Don't overload the card with elements, and that is very hard for me. I admit this. It's very hard for me. I always like to put a lot on my cards and fiddle with them, and I'm actually very happy about how this card set turned out. So here I'm stamping the second flower, and then I'm immediately covering this with gold embossing powder. It already sparkles. It's so beautiful. And now I'm heat setting this, and I had trouble actually seeing when the powder reacted, because it's so sparkly by itself. You can't really see the powder turn. So I was very happy that I didn't set the card on fire. It's not like this hasn't happened to me before. Yeah, but I was lucky. And here you can actually see how it turns and just how beautifully it shimmers. Then I put generous amounts of foam tape on the panel, for the very simple reason, if you've already invested so much time and material into creating this, don't skimp on the foam tape. I know what I'm talking about because I usually do this myself, but it's just not worth it. And sorry for my big head getting in the way. The shadow from the light just threw me off, and I had to make sure that it was really straight. if you have a clean and simple design, you have to be very careful about your work, making sure that everything is centered correctly and placed correctly, because otherwise you're going to see it immediately. There's nothing to distract if you have a clean and simple card. So I just put some foam squares on the back of the sentiment and using my tweezers to put it where I need it to be. And I repeated those steps for the other cards, and you can see the beautiful gold embossing here. And the only other thing is the handmade stamp I put on the back. I do this with my own cards, stamp them. Here are the 4 cards that I made, and of course then I had to make envelopes. So my card is 4 by 4 inches. That means I need a paper of 6 by 7/8 and 6 7/8, and the first score line is going to be at 3.5. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, give me a second, I'll explain. This is the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. Mine is from Stampin' Up, but it's basically made by We Are Memory Keepers. And here's my square sheet of paper. It's 6 by 7/8 by 6 by 7/8. It's a square piece. And it says my first score line is supposed to be at 3.5. So I'm sliding this under here, and then I'm measuring to the left where the 3.5 marker is. And you can see me aligning my paper. Now I'm punching once, and then I'm using the score tool that comes with the board and score. It just runs in this thing here, so you don't have to guess where it is. And now I'm rotating it to the left, sliding it back under there, and you can see the nose of this thing, and I'm basically lining up the score line with that nose. Sorry, again, the light threw me off. I couldn't see quite clearly if it was aligned. I'm punching again, and I'm scoring. I did the same thing, but now I don't care like where it lines up to the left. I only care that this nose is lined up with the previous score line. And you just repeat this process until you went around the entire piece of paper. And then I also slid it in there, like in the back, and rounded 2 of the corners, 2 opposing corners. So I have 2 round corners and 2 like sharp corners. You're folding in the 2 sharp corners. I'm sorry, I'm not an English native speaker. Pointy corners. Let's call them pointy corners. Sounds much better. So you fold in the 2 pointy corners, and then you fold up one of the round corners. And I guess you can already see it. That's basically that's the basic shape of your envelope. And I feel that the round corner, it just looks so much nicer than the pointy corners. And I don't do anything to the pointy corners because they're going to be covered up anyways. So this is like the basic scoring for the envelope, and then I like to test it. Like before I do the other envelopes, I want to make sure that the size will actually fit. So I'm just trying to slide in my card here, and you can see it fits absolutely perfectly. In order to keep the paper in the shape of the envelope, I use very cheap adhesive tape. I get this off eBay here from a German seller in Germany. You could use red tape if you feel safer using red tape, but like regular adhesive tape will be absolutely enough unless you have a very bulky envelope. So just for these thank you note cards, it will be absolutely fine. And now I'm not pressing the inside flaps down completely, because that will not give you any volume if you have a card with layers. So I'm just pressing it down a little bit, and you can see the shadow, by the shadow, that there's still room. And I gently fold the other part over, and you can see how it lifts a little bit. So there's actually a little bit of space inside of the envelope, and that will allow you to slip in cards that have layers that are a little bit more voluminous, thicker than regular cards. Just something that I found works very well for me. And of course, oh yeah, envelope gum. I use that for the flap of the envelope. It's a gooey liquid. I use an inexpensive brush it onto the top of the flap there, let it dry for like an hour, and it's completely fine. You can lick it and it will hold the envelope closed. So I couldn't leave well enough alone. I had to emboss, I had to stamp onto the envelope as well. And if you get ink on your acrylic block, don't be lazy like I sometimes am. Just wipe it off. It takes maybe 10 seconds. I mean, it's a big acrylic block here, but it goes really fast, and you prevent the ink from accidentally getting onto your project. After you've invested so much time, just do it. I know what I'm talking about. I've lost more than one project because of something like this. So I'm basically just using white ink, and I'm going to stamp all of the envelopes just to make them look a little prettier. I think that finishes off the project nicely. Here you go. That's how it looks like. So here you can see the beautiful gold shimmer of the embossing, and I also applied Wink of Stella to the sentiment. It's really sparkly. This is the entire card set, including the envelopes. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, or follow me even. You might enjoy that. Or visit me at my blog. Thanks for watching. Bye!